Who were the Knights Templar? Really? Most people know the myths: warrior monks, crusaders, protectors of pilgrims. But behind the swords and crosses lies a deeper, darker story of secret rituals, forbidden knowledge, and an underground legacy that never died. Did the Templars truly vanish, or did they survive, transforming into the hidden networks that still shape power today? In this episode, we peel back the veil on the true origins of the Templars, their rise, their fall, and the spiritual codes they carried through the centuries. Because once you uncover the real story, you'll realize history itself has been a mask, and secret societies were the hidden architects behind it. Part 1. The Rise of the Templar Order. The year is 1119. Jerusalem has just fallen into Christian hands after the First Crusade. But the Holy Land is dangerous. Bandits roam the roads. Pilgrims making the sacred journey are robbed, beaten, sometimes killed. Into this chaos steps a small group of knights, led by a man named Hugues de Payens. They form a humble order, taking vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. Their mission: to protect Christian pilgrims traveling to Jerusalem. They call themselves the poor fellow soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon. But history will remember them by a simpler name: the Knights Templar. At first, they are small, 9 knights, no wealth, no power, no grand castles. But within a few decades, everything changes. The Templars win the backing of the Church, especially from Bernard of Clairvaux, a powerful abbot and mystical thinker. Suddenly, donations pour in: land, money, recruits. They become answerable only to the Pope himself, free from local kings, bishops, and taxes. By the mid-12th century, the Templars are no longer just protectors of pilgrims. They are military elites, fighting in the crusades, defending Christian strongholds, and developing a reputation for discipline, courage, and relentless ferocity. But here's where things get interesting. While the world saw the Templars as warriors, behind the scenes, they were building something even more powerful: a financial empire. They developed one of the first international banking systems. Pilgrims and nobles could deposit money in Europe, receive a coded letter, and withdraw funds in the Holy Land. All protected under the Templar seal. They became moneylenders to kings, landowners across Europe, and builders of massive fortresses and cathedrals. In less than a century, they transformed from 9 poor knights into one of the richest, most politically untouchable organizations in all of Europe. But here's the real question: was this rise to power just the result of military skill and financial savvy, or was something else at play? Whispers began to circulate that the Templars were not just warriors or bankers. They were seekers, guardians of hidden knowledge, found beneath the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem. Some said they had unearthed ancient scrolls, arcane relics, even the legendary Holy Grail. Others claimed they were secretly studying Kabbalah, Hermetic teachings, or even pre-Christian mysteries that threatened the authority of the Church itself. In the next part, we'll pull back the curtain and dive into the hidden esoteric roots of the Templar Order. Because their rise was not just a story of swords and gold, it was a story of secrets, and the deeper you look, the stranger the truth becomes. Part 2. The Hidden Esoteric Roots. On the surface, the Knights Templar were just soldiers, defenders of pilgrims, warriors of Christ. But beneath the surface, a deeper current ran through their order. A current that linked them not just to swords and shields, but to hidden knowledge. Let's go back to where it all began, the Temple of Solomon. When the Templars arrived in Jerusalem, they set up headquarters on the Temple Mount, the ancient site where Solomon's temple had once stood in biblical times. But here's the mystery. What were they doing there? Historical records suggest they spent years tunneling beneath the ruins. What were they looking for? Some say buried treasure. Others whisper sacred relics, lost scrolls, or even the original blueprints of divine knowledge. This is where the legend thickens. Many believe the Templars uncovered arcane teachings that stretched back far before Christianity. Into the heart of ancient Jewish mysticism, what we now call Kabbalah. Kabbalah teaches that the universe is built on hidden patterns, sacred geometry, and the interplay of divine forces. It's not just religious philosophy. It's a roadmap to unlock the nature of reality. If the Templars accessed these teachings, they weren't just warriors. They were initiates, students of an esoteric system designed to awaken the soul. But that's not all. Whispers also connect the Templars to Hermeticism, the mystical philosophy said to descend from ancient Egypt, rooted in the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus. As above, so below. As within, so without. These were the guiding principles of Hermetic thought. The idea that the universe is a mirror and that by understanding its hidden laws, you could master both matter and spirit. Think about it. The Templars were more than just fighters. They were builders, architects, scholars. They embedded hidden symbols into cathedrals. They designed structures aligned with celestial movements. They wove esoteric codes into their rituals, garments, and insignias. The red cross on white robes, not just a Christian symbol, but a deeper alchemical cipher representing the fusion of opposites, the union of spirit and matter. Here's the key. While the Church sought obedience, the Templars may have been seeking awakening, and that made them dangerous. In the next part, we'll explore how their esoteric knowledge helped them build not just a spiritual order, but a web of political and financial power that stretched across Europe, and why that very power became their greatest threat. Because when you carry secret knowledge, the world either reveres you or destroys you. Part 3. Templar and the Web of Power. By the 13th century, the Knights Templar were no longer just monks with swords. They were Europe's most formidable power brokers. Their reach spanned the continent. They owned lands, castles, vineyards, ports. They managed fleets, controlled trade routes, and, most critically, ran a vast banking network. Pilgrims and nobles could deposit money in Paris, receive a coded letter, and withdraw funds safely in Jerusalem. It was one of the earliest systems of credit, revolutionary for its time. The Templars became bankers to kings, financiers of crusades, advisors at the highest levels of politics. But this rise came with a price. They were sworn to poverty, but their order grew unimaginably wealthy. They answered only to the Pope, not to local rulers. Kings borrowed from them, but resented their independence. Nobles envied their influence. The Church feared their secrets. The Templars had become a shadow empire within Europe, and that made them dangerous. Then came the whispers. Rumors spread that the Templars practiced heresy, that their rituals were blasphemous, that they worshipped strange idols, spit on the cross, and bowed before a horned figure called Baphomet. Were these stories true, or were they political weapons devised to justify the destruction of an order too powerful to control? History offers no clear answer. What we know is this: the accusations worked. On Friday, October 13th, 1307, King Philip IV of France struck. He ordered the mass arrest of the Templar leaders. They were tortured, forced to confess, condemned as heretics. By 1312, under papal pressure, the Templar order was officially disbanded. Their lands were seized. Their treasures vanished. Their Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, was burned at the stake, cursing his persecutors with his final breath. But here's the twist. Even as their organization collapsed, the legend of the Templars grew. Some knights fled to Scotland, where they fought alongside Robert the Bruce, and were said to have planted the seeds of what would become the Freemasons. Others merged into secretive brotherhoods, passing on esoteric knowledge and hidden symbols that would resurface centuries later. The Templar cross, the architectural codes, the mythic connection to the Holy Grail. These were not buried with their downfall. They were scattered into the underground, woven into the fabric of Western esoteric tradition. In the next part, we'll trace these surviving threads, from the ashes of the Templar fall to the rise of secret societies that still echo their influence today. Because some orders may collapse, but their legacy never truly dies. Part 4. The fall and survival of the Order. The downfall of the Templars was swift, brutal, and unforgettable. In 1307, King Philip IV's coordinated arrests shattered their power overnight. Under torture, many confessed to crimes they may never have committed: heresy, blasphemy, sorcery, devil worship. By 1314, Jacques de Molay, the last Grand Master, was burned alive in Paris. Legend says his final curse fell upon both King Philip and Pope Clement, and within a year, both men were dead. But here's where the official history ends, and the legends begin. Because while the French Templars were destroyed, many members escaped. Ships disappeared from Templar ports. Knights fled across borders, vanishing into sympathetic lands. Where did they go? No one knows for certain, but whispers point in several directions. Some fled to Scotland, outside papal reach, where they fought alongside Robert the Bruce and merged into local stoneworker guilds, planting the seeds of the Freemasons. Others are said to have scattered into Spain, Portugal, Switzerland, blending into other orders or vanishing underground. Some stories claim they carried with them priceless treasures, the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, or scrolls of lost knowledge, retrieved from beneath the Temple of Solomon. Were these relics real or symbolic myths? The truth remains shrouded. But what's clear is this: the Templar spirit didn't die. In the centuries that followed, the imagery and ideals of the Templars resurfaced again and again. In secret societies, esoteric brotherhoods, and revolutionary movements, the Rosicrucians, the Freemasons, the Illuminati, all have been linked, rightly or wrongly, to the surviving flame of Templar mysticism. Their symbols appear in unexpected places on cathedrals, bank seals, even national emblems. Their emphasis on sacred geometry, hidden initiation, and spiritual awakening echoes through Western esoteric traditions to this day. But perhaps the most powerful survival was not in institutions, but in the myth itself. The myth of the Templar Knight. A warrior of light, a seeker of truth, a guardian of forbidden knowledge. This figure haunts our imagination, reminding us that even in defeat, some legacies refuse to be extinguished. In the next part, we'll explore what this Templar legacy means for us today, because the real treasure they carried may never have been gold or relics, but the idea that every age needs its own hidden guardians its own seekers, its own carriers of light. Part 5. The Templar Legacy Today. Centuries have passed since the last Templar Knight was led to the flames. The Church thought they had destroyed the Order. Kings thought they had broken its power. But some legacies refused to die. Today, if you walk through Europe, you will still see the Templar cross. On cathedrals, on ancient seals, even in the architecture of modern cities, you'll find their symbols, woven into Masonic lodges, esoteric circles, and secret societies that claim to carry on their flame. But beyond the visible signs, the real Templar legacy lives elsewhere, in something much harder to destroy. At its core, the Templar legacy is not about wealth, not about military conquest, and not even about religious wars. It's about the archetype of the spiritual warrior, a figure who stands between worlds, who seeks truth no matter the cost, who defends knowledge. That challenges authority, a figure who embodies both the sword and the scroll, both the outer courage and the inner awakening. In today's world, we no longer fight with blades, but the battle remains. It's a battle for consciousness, for clarity, for sovereignty. It's the struggle to stay awake in a world designed to keep you asleep. The Templars understood something timeless, that real power comes not from gold or titles or institutions, but from knowledge. Knowledge of the sacred patterns that shape the cosmos. Knowledge of the alignment between the human and the divine. Knowledge that the real temple is not a building, but the living temple where spirit and matter converge. This is why their legacy survived, because it is not locked away in vaults or relics. It's carried by anyone who dares to remember who they truly are. You don't need to join a secret order or swear oaths in candlelit chambers to inherit this legacy. You inherit it. Every time you question the surface, every time you seek wisdom, beneath the noise, every time you stand in truth. Even when the world demands silence, the Templar spirit is not passed down by blood. It's chosen, consciously, deliberately, in every age. So what does the Templar legacy mean for you? It means you are a bridge between the material and the divine. It means you are a temple dash, not of stone, but of living spirit. It means that awakening is not a luxury. It is a duty, because in every generation there are those who rise quietly, who carry the hidden flame, and who become the spiritual guardians their time desperately needs. In the end, the Templars were more than soldiers. They were symbols. And symbols, when they burn with living truth, don't fade. They ripple through time, calling across centuries. The only question is, will you dare to not just awaken their legacy, but bear its weight as your own? Final CTA. You've now uncovered the hidden story of the Knights Templar, not just as warriors, but as guardians of forbidden knowledge. But the story doesn't end here. Because when the Templars fell, their flame didn't vanish. It passed into the hands of new secret brotherhoods, new orders, new hidden networks that shaped the world's greatest renaissance of art, science, and mysticism. In the next episode, we journey into the shadowy forces behind one of history's greatest awakenings, how secret societies influenced the Renaissance. We'll peel back the layers on the hidden brotherhoods, mystical orders, and esoteric thinkers who ignited Europe's explosion of genius, and will reveal how their influence still shapes the world today. This isn't just history. It's a living current, one that still ripples through every brushstroke, every invention, every secret whispered in the dark. Once you tap into it, you don't just observe the Renaissance. You step into its secret current, letting its spark reshape your own awakening, until you too become a spark for the world.